Well, here we go again. Once that you have understood the three climate factors, altitude, latitude, and distance from the sea, let's see how it affects to the Earth climate zones. I want you to move now on your book onto page 20, that you work on this page last day. Okay, here you've got three different areas marked with three different colors to represent temperature. Remember that temperature is about hot, about cold, about warm, about hot, very hot, about cold. It is cold. What if it is warm? I'm okay, not hot, not cold. Okay. Imagine that this is my earth. Okay, that I could cut. I had scissors and I could cut it here, and I could spread. I could unfold this. If I could unfold the earth, I would have this here. You've got the continents. You have here North America, South America. You have here Europe, Africa, and Asia. And here you've got Australasia. Okay? This represents if I could cut the earth and I could spread it. Okay, everybody understands? I hope so. As I told you before, as I represented with my torch before, the red light represents the sun. Okay, as I have in here the sun, the area in the middle close to the equator, it is going to be very, very hot. How do we represent it in our maps? Using color red. Okay, this red area represents the light of the sun in the middle of the earth. Okay, I would represent the middle of the earth would be this red band. Okay. What are the areas? Which are the areas that are really hot with a hot climate in the world? Well, most of South America, all the center of America, a big part of Africa, and a part of Asia, where you have India and China, and a little bit of Japan. Okay, these are the hottest climates in the world. Then we have the two parts that doesn't receive the sun rays, the North Pole and the South Pole, as we saw before. These areas are very, very cold because the sun doesn't hit them. These parts are represented by color blue because they represent that it is very, very cold. Okay, like the Arctic Ocean and like the Antarctic Ocean with the igloos, as you can see in here. These are very hard places to live. A little bit of the north of Europe and the north of Asia. And here also you have a little bit of North America, for example, in Alaska. Okay, that is in this part in here. That's why, for example, when you have a Jose in our classes, she always tells us that in Canada is a little bit cold and it's colder than Spain because Canada is just here in the middle, in the limit. And finally, we've got the temperate climates, the ones that are represented in orange. Again, if I have here the earth and I have here the sun, you have a very strong red area here and a little bit red in here and red in here, but not so strong. Do you see it? Can you appreciate it? You have a big red spot here, and then these areas are a little bit reddish, but not so strong. Okay, I hope you can see it. Okay, in that way, you have the orange places, and here is where we find Spain. This is Spain, most of Europe, just the middle of North America, a little bit of South America, South Africa, and a part of Australasia. Okay, this is why we have warm climates, not very hot, not very cold. Okay, here you've got the explanations of the different climates, the polar and the mountain zones. Okay, remember the two factors, latitude and also altitude. So it's polar because it is in the poles, or also it can be in the middle, but in a very high place, like in a mountain. Okay, they are near the poles and in the mountains. They have very low temperatures all year. Remember, the low temperatures means that it is very cold. There is not much precipitation, so not rain, sometimes a little bit of hail, and a little bit of snow during the year, okay, and it falls like snow. And here you've got the two pictures to represent. Then also I have the tropical zones, okay, and they are all the third zone, just the hot zones all around the equator, the areas that you can see here in red, okay. They have very high temperatures and precipitations, it depends. For example, if you're in a desert, no precipitations at all. But if we are talking about tropical areas, okay, like jungles or savannas or rainforest, okay, the quantity of precipitation can change quite a lot. Remember, if you have gone to Faunia, when you go to the place with a tropical rainforest, when you can find the toucans and the macaws and the palm trees, it's raining from time to time. There are big storms. So precipitations, it depends. If you are in a desert, no precipitations, but if you're in a jungle or in a rainforest, it is going to rain quite a lot, but it's going to be rainy and hot. Okay, here it's going to be rainy or snowy and cold. Here it's going to be rainy and hot. And finally, we've got the temperate zones that you can have in here. Okay, you see there are two of them, one on each side of the tropical zone. Remember the Earth, the tropical zone that is in the equator, and the part that is in the middle between the equator and the poles. This is one of the temperate zones, and between the equator and the South Pole is the second temperate area. Okay, and in here it says the temperatures are between 0 degrees, 0 is in the centigrade degrees, and 20, more or less. Okay, depending on if it is winter or if it is in summer. Think of Spain, think of Madrid, in Parla. Very cold in winter, very hot in summer. Okay, Europe is in a temperate zone with many groves and forest, as you can see in here. Okay, if you need to know what groves are, said fields of cultivated trees, like forest, but no forest that are real forest, not natural forest. Okay, it's a part when we cultivate, you put the trees on those areas. So that's the explanation about the three parts, the three Earth climate zones, and I hope that now you understand why remember the Earth and the sunrise. So now this way you can understand why these areas are very hot and why these areas are very cold. Again, if you have any questions, please send me an email and let me know. It will be a pleasure for me to explain to you anything you may need. Bye bye!